Good evening. It's 6:30 p.m. and we will declare the June 1st meeting of the Drainage Board open. I'll call the meeting to order. Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda? Member Clark, seconded by Member Skrabak. Any discussion? All in favor? That carries. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest this evening? And as well as for the Court of Revision? Seeing none, we'll move down. The minutes from the previous meeting were circulated. Is there any errors or omissions with those minutes? If not, could we have a motion to receive the minutes? Deputy Mayor Richardson, seconded by Member Clark. Any discussion? Calling the question, all in favor? That carries. Thank you. That brings us down to item 3 on this evening's agenda, the Court of Revision for the Rocher Municipal Drain. So at this point, the Drainage Board will rise, and I will turn it over to Deputy Clerk Joel to carry on. Can we have a motion that the Drainage Board rise? Member McEachran, seconded by Councillor Ashmore. All in favor? That carries.
Okay, thank you. So we are going to convene the Court of Revision for the Desroches Municipal Drain. To begin the proceedings today, all the members who are present who were appointed to the Court of Revision at our last meeting will be asked to sign the oath for the Court of Revision, and this is a requirement under the Drainage Act. And so our members today, if you could just raise your hand when I say your name, just so that the public knows who is in the Court of Revision, is Councillor Ashmore, Councillor Joyce, who is absent today, Charlie Clark, and then our alternate members, Robert McEachran and David Skrabak. And as Councillor Joyce is away, David Skrabak will be filling in for the Court of Revision today for the Desroches Municipal Drain. However, I will be asking all the members and the alternates today to be swearing the oath or solemnly affirming the oath of the member of the drainage to the Court of Revision. So I'm just going to read it to you, and then if you have the oath in front of you as a member, then I will ask you to sign and respond when I get there. So to the Court of Revision members attending today, do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will, to the best of your judgment and ability, and without fear, favor, or partiality, honestly decide all appeals to the Court of Revision from the assessments arising from provisional bylaws passed by the Corporation of the City of Kawartha Lakes that may be brought before you for trial at any time during your tenure as a member of such court? If you so swear or solemnly affirm, please respond by saying, I do. Members? Thank you. So please sign the oath that is on the table in front of you. It would just be under your agenda package. And then if you could return that to me now, that would be great. Thank you. And Robert. So that oath will be sufficient for the Court of Revision requirements for today. Now, today's members for the Court of Revision, we have 3 appointed members for any set Court of Revision, and today we have Councillor Ashmore, Charlie Clark, and David Skrabak. To conduct the Court of Revision for today, we will need a chair for the Court of Revision. So of the 3 members today, is any member wishing to nominate another member to act as chair for the Court of Revision for today?
I'll nominate Councillor Ashmore.
And Councillor Ashmore, do you consent to the nomination?
Yes, that's fine.
And Member Clark, are you in favor? Thank you. And then I do declare that Councillor Ashmore is the chair for the Court of Revision for the Desroches Municipal Drain for today. So Councillor Ashmore, I'll just get you to take the front seat, and I've got a script for you.
Okay, thanks very much, and I'll just read this first, as instructed by the Deputy Clerk. The Court of Revision will now consider the preliminary adopted municipal drainage assessment schedule for the Desroches Municipal Drain and any associated appeals. All comments received today by the Court of Revision may be considered as evidence in accordance with the Municipal Act. And under section 3.4.1, no appeals were received by the May 23rd, 2023 deadline. And under 3.4.2, the late appeals, has the City Clerk's office received any late appeals?
I can confirm no appeals have been received late for the Desroches Municipal Drain.
Okay. So that being said, if to accept a motion, we'll need a motion for that. Okay. All right, we're going to the next one here. Does the engineer assigned to this municipal drain wish to make any final comment to the engineer's report and the preliminary bylaw?
Through the chair and to the court, I haven't had any appeals. I don't have any comments.
Okay, with no further comments to appeals to be heard on this municipal drain, the Court of Revision will now make a decision on the assessments and provisional bylaw. Could I get a mover for this? Any comments at all? Could I get a mover for this motion?
So there was a motion that was published in the agenda, and to the members, it's in front of you on 3.6.2. Otherwise,
Yeah. I can read that motion. Okay. That the assessments contained in the Desroches Municipal Drain report by Drainage Engineer M. Garretts and as provisionally adopted by Bylaw 2023-067 are hereby confirmed that should no other appeals be heard within the prescribed timelines, that council proceed with the third reading of Bylaw 2023-067 at the next possible city council meeting. And could I get a mover for that? And a seconder? All right. And, yeah, all in favor? Okay, thanks. If the affected property owners are dissatisfied with the decisions made today by the Court of Revision, anyone may appeal this decision to the Agricultural, Food, and Rural Affairs Tribunal by filing a notice of appeal with the Office of the City Clerk within 21 days of the date of this decision. So that's your options. You can file that within 21 days of today's date. Any appeals? And they're heard in Guelph, those hearings, I assume they're heard in?
the OMAFRA office will review them, and then they would, if there was an appeal, they would give instruction for how the drainage tribunal might meet.
Okay. I guess we're wrapping up pretty soon. 3.7. Yeah. All right, 3.7. So we've got, we're down to an adjournment? For the Court of Revision. Okay, for the Court of Revision. I'm not getting off that easy. Okay, so I just need a motion to adjourn the Court of Revision and reconvene with the Drainage Board. Yeah, so Member Clark, Member Stromberg. All in favor? Thanks.
Thank you. All right, so,
okay. All right, is that yours? Thanks.
All right. So with that brings us down to item 4 on this evening's agenda, the meeting to consider the Curtin Municipal Drain. 4.1, a presentation of the engineer's report.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for your time here today. My name is Ken Smith, and I'm here on behalf of DM Wills, and I'm the drainage engineer along with my associate Mark, who authored this report for the Curtin Municipal Drain. I have a few slides that you can see on the screens, and we'll see how this works. There we are. Okay. So we're here for the meeting to consider with the Drainage Board. The team members on this project include myself and Mark. As I mentioned, DM Wills, thanks to Richard and Michael Farquhar for their participation in this project as well. Let's get ourselves into the information. So the site is located on Clarny Bay Road, County Road 21, just northwest of Lindsay, as shown on the figure. To zoom in a little on the site in question, the properties that have petitioned and require drainage are located on the west side of Clarny Bay Road. I've highlighted in this figure the overall drainage area, and the lands that are owned by the petitioner are shown in red. The blue lands are lands owned by an individual who joined the petition following the on-site meeting. And let me point at the right direction there. Just to take us through the process and the history on this drain, a petition was received and accepted by Council December 2nd, 2021 from Mr. Michael Curtin. And I guess I can put this in front of me so I don't have to look up at the screen. There we are. And DM Wills was appointed subsequently as the drainage engineer for this work. The on-site meeting was held and Mr. Ryan Parrish subsequently added his name to the petition. Our first act during the on-site meeting was to meet with the periphery landowners adjacent to the potential drain and those that would be affected by the area requiring drainage. Our report includes a list of the attendees on page 3, and the on-site meeting was held in April 2022. DM Wills reviewed the petition and determined it to be a valid petition on the basis of area of the land requiring drainage. That was prior to the addition of Mr. Parrish. Of course, with the addition of Mr. Parrish, the petition became even further valid. So regardless of the dual petitioners, it is a valid petition. We have completed an engineer's report and provided it in January 2023. We did complete between April and January a geotechnical investigation in the area of the proposed drain, noting during the on-site investigation that there was some exposed rock, and we were very interested in the potential to be interfering with rock during any kind of construction, and noting the impact on the cost. We facilitated a program, an investigation program with some open pits to determine the depth to the rock throughout the drain. We're now here at the meeting to consider, and there we are. And we are presenting the report, answering questions, and are keen to find the board in support of this project. As we have in the last number of weeks distributed the report to the community, we have had a few discussions with local residents, CKL staff, and Kawartha Conservation. It included an on-site meeting with Kawartha Conservation to review the drain, to identify anything they think may have been a heritage constraint. While we have not submitted for a permit application, obviously, yet, that would be premature, KRCA was in support of the proposed plan and didn't indicate any kind of natural heritage or hazard lands that would be that would influence the design. We did discuss the schedule of assessment with City of Kawartha Lakes staff following a question about the distribution of costs from residents. They were particularly interested in the distribution of costs in the construction schedule, Schedule A, and the maintenance schedule, Schedule B. The distribution is consistent, but there's a lack of the cost for benefit in Schedule B, as is normal, and so there were questions asked about why during maintenance costs were allocated more throughout the drain. We note one small point of clarification on the drawings that we just would like to highlight in our review today. Out of our conversations on the schedule of assessment, we need to clarify what our intent is on the McMinn property. And so I'll just do that as we review the drawing package here so that it's clear. For the sake of those who are attending online or from the community, we just like to highlight the continued process following this meeting, that opportunities do exist for appeals through Court of Revision, as we just saw, and tribunal. And so the municipal drain process outlines how that is today. We're here at the meeting to consider. So without further ado, let me tell you now, at the end of my presentation, a little bit about the drain. So I showed you the drainage area. A refined drainage area here shows the lands contributing to the drain, which is shown in blue. Mr. Parrish's land is, I guess I don't have a mouse to show you, so I'll start with Mr. Curtin's land is at the termination of the drain, the northernmost property. Oh, now we're talking. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so Mr. Curtin's property is this parcel here, and he was the primary or the first petitioner. Mr. Parrish has also signed on to the petition, and the drain will follow the existing flow of water. Once it overflows, it does head in this direction. This property here, Mr. Mashinger, has positive drainage to the corner. It's quite steep and low once it sort of reaches about here. So the water will be conveyed south and then to the City of Kawartha Lakes roadway ditch, and then conveyed down to the true adequate outlet here. Significant creek crossing. The nature of the drain is intended to be an open channel. We did entertain an opportunity to potentially explore piping at the request of Mr. Parrish. Unfortunately, with the location of rock, piping is an expensive option. We provided both costs and reviewed it with Mr. Parrish. Understanding the pipe isn't necessarily a particularly large pipe, but being buried with sufficient cover, it just drives it down into rock. So it's an open channel, a few feet deep. We did our best to maintain grade close to ground. We do have to cut through a few high points. It's fairly flat until it reaches really the steep embankment along the road, which is right about here. The point of clarification just notes that we have shown schematically that the drain is adjacent to this property. The intent is for the drain to service this parcel as well. And so truly the blue line should line up, overlap the property line. This doesn't show truly the width, so when the drain is constructed, it will extend onto the property, but we need to clarify the intent that the property will be provided adequate drainage, this property as well, as they've been assessed a modest benefit. We're showing a series of cross sections. I'm sure everyone's not terribly keen to walk through those in detail. The schedule of assessment for construction and maintenance is shown here. And I'll accept, of course, any questions on the schedule of assessments from the community or from the board. And that takes us through the presentation. I will welcome any questions, and thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Smith. Members of the Drainage Board, do you have any questions of Mr. Smith at this time? Okay, seeing none. Is there any members online from the public who have questions of Mr. Smith at this time?
We have the two petitioners, Mr. Curtin and Mr. Parrish, online. If you would like to speak, please turn on your video or unmute yourself. *6. Otherwise, just give a moment. I know Mr. Curtin was joining by telephone. I just want to make sure he has the opportunity to say something.
Okay. We'll move to 4.3. This is the opportunity to add or withdraw signatures to the petition, which I'm assuming that there are none.
If there are no other members of the drainage watershed present, there would be no additional need to add a signature to the petition. But Mr. Smith, you could confirm if someone requested to remove their name from the petition, what that would look like?
We've had no requests to date to remove names from the petition. If Mr. Parrish were to remove his name from the petition, it would remain a valid petition. It would not be so with Mr. Curtin.
Okay, we'll just check. Mr. Parrish, you're fine with your name remaining on the petition?
Yep.
Thank you. All right, that brings us to 4.2 or 4.4, recommendations of the Drainage Board to Council. Members of the board, what is your recommendation? Member McEachran?
I would move that council proceed with this project.
Okay, so we have a motion from Member McEachran recommending that council adopt the Curtin Municipal Drain Engineers report as prepared by M. Hoare Engineering and Ken Smith Engineering, DM Wills, and proceed with the first and second reading of a bylaw to provide drainage works in the City of Kawartha Lakes known as the Curtin Municipal Drain, that council instructs staff to make the necessary arrangements for a court of revision to be held on the engineer's report for the Curtin Municipal Drain. Is there a seconder for that motion? Member Clark, any discussion? Councillor Ashmore?
Thanks. Through you, Mr. Chair. Just a really quick question to Mr. Smith. On page 131, they have it highlighted about, could you just sort of just briefly explain area of spread material and why it's highlighted there on page 131? It just kind of, just a question on that, why it was highlighted for this project.
Thank you. If I may, page 131 may be of an agenda package, but not of my report. Can you give me a little help there? Thank you. Okay.
It's what's highlighted there.
Yeah, the three opportunities to spread the material are at different depths, and so the area that gets impacted varies based on the depth. My expectation is that the highlighted one is what is chosen as the depth, but I had better follow that through to determine whether that is the selected output. If you may, let me just see here. Yes. So halfway down the page, we'll note that the area that's carried forward in the calculations, for example, 0.577 is consisted with the highlighted one. So the selected depth of spread is 150 millimeters deep.
Okay, that's fine, thanks.
Any further discussion on the motion?
If
there's none,
just if we could maybe have engineering staff give an outline of perhaps expected timeline for next steps if the motion is approved.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to the board. So for next steps, after the board makes a recommendation for the consideration, the minutes of the board will go to the next regular council meeting, and the exact date of that, Joel, I don't know if you have that handy. June 20th. So once those minutes are prepared, we're able to then write a report, which I think the drainage superintendent already has a report pre-written for the outcome of this based on different scenarios. But once the minutes are done, we can then attach them to the report that will go to the June 20th council meeting. So then council will then hear the report and for consideration. Members of the public, I believe, can still go to that council meeting and then also make deputation in regards to the report. If council then chooses to adopt the report, then will come to the sitting of the next drainage board, or based on the time frame for everybody getting together for a quarter revision on this report.
And the provisional bylaw would be anticipated to be forwarded to the June meeting as well?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, that's correct.
So that would put a quarter revision would have to be held within 30 days of adopting the provisional bylaw for the Curtin Municipal Drain. So there would be a meeting in July.
Any further discussion on the motion? If there's none, calling the question, all in favor? Any opposed? That carries. All right, that brings us down to the end of this evening's agenda. Motion for adjournment. Member Oriotis, seconder. Member McEachran, all in favor? That carries. The Drainage Board is adjourned at 6:57 p.m. Thank you for your time this evening.